we're ready, Hope.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the City of Lincoln's regular meeting of the City Council. Tonight's meeting will be televised and available on cable channel 18 and via Zoom.
Go ahead.
This evening's invocation will be given by President Scott Stewart from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Once the invocation has concluded, Mayor Andreatta will call the meeting to order.
Hi.
Our Heavenly Father, we're truly grateful to be here today, gathered together at the City Council meeting. We recognize the wonderful blessings that it is to live in the Lincoln community. We recognize and are grateful for all those who serve at the local and national level. We recognize the freedoms that we enjoy in this nation, the founding principles that make it possible for us to enjoy life each day in our families and in our communities. We are truly grateful for all that Thou hast given us, for the many blessings that we receive each day. And we're thankful for the people in our community for how much they do for us. And we're especially mindful of our children and youth in the community. We ask for a blessing of protection to be upon them as they face the challenges of this day, that we may continue to help them in their journey and progression. And we are so thankful for all the help that we receive through our schools. We pray for our teachers and for all those that work with them. And we're especially mindful of our first responders, those who serve in the armed forces, and our civic leaders. We pray for them, for their well-being, that they may continue to exercise the judgment according to the principles that have been founded in this nation. We pray for the proceedings here tonight and express our gratitude unto Thee. And we do this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, President Stewart. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, staff, for being here and residents. Welcome to the City of Lincoln 2025 regular meeting, City Council, Lincoln Redevelopment Successor Agency, Lincoln Public Financing Authority. It's October 28, 2025. Call the meeting to order. Hope, could we have the roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Reedy.
Here.
Councilmember Pearl.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown is absent and excused. Councilmember Eklund.
Here.
Mayor Andreatta.
I'm here. Thank you. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One state. Thank you, everybody, for that. Item 7, report from closed session. Ms. Molikoff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. There is no reportable action this evening.
Thank you. Hey, item 8, agenda modifications. Do the council or staff need to modify anything on the agenda? Nope. All right, we do not have any presentations tonight, so that takes us to item 10, public comment. This is the time in our agenda where we allow public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. All speakers' time will be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the mayor. All comments or questions should be addressed to the mayor, and in most cases, the city council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, but may engage in brief discussion, provide direction to city staff, or schedule items for future meetings. So we'll start with the cards, and I have one for public comment from Mr. Stan Nader. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Hi, Stan.
Madam Mayor and Council, my name is Stan Nader. I live in the 12 Ridges area. But for the issue that I was having with my lawn sprinkler system, I'm not sure that I would have had a reason to be speaking before you as often as I have. Being a lifelong resident of the city, I do care that the city be successful as a city. My 23 years of public service demonstrates that I want to see the city face and overcome the challenges that all cities face in California. The city manager has given me an update on the progress on the Water Master Plan update. I'm looking forward to reviewing the document and offering any relevant comments. Recently, my wife observed a thread on Facebook about property taxes and why, with all the new housing in the city, would that not be enough monies for the city to have sufficient finances? It would be important for the residents to understand the portion of the monies from property tax that the city actually receives. 61% of the property tax dollars goes to the schools throughout the county. 17.7% goes to the county for the sheriff, roads, public health, etc. 5.83% goes to special districts, and the city's portion is 7.59%. Put those percentages in context. The local school district receives $71.3 million, and the city of Lincoln receives $15.2 million. Of the 7.2% sales tax that residents pay on their taxable purchases, the city only gets 1.25% of that amount. When comparing neighboring communities in 2023-24, the city of Roseville received $98 million, Rockland $21.2 million, and the city of Lincoln $6.2 million. This is why it is critical the city be successful in its negotiations with the county over the property tax sharing agreements. Lincoln is at a 10 to 12% disadvantage when compared to other cities in the county. It is also important that the city be aggressively courting new businesses to expand the city's tax base. The residents' active support of the city is critical as it seeks to improve the city's financial position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nader. Appreciate that. All right, I don't have any other cards. Was there anybody else in the room that would like to make a public comment on an item not on the agenda? Mr. Chapman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Byron Chapman, 12 Bridges area. Council members, city staff, and those here as well as at home. At the last council meeting on the 14th, I had given the mayor a copy of a grievance ADA complaint form that I had filed on August the 25th, one day prior or before the August 26th. The reason I did that is because to date, it's now 9 weeks in counting, have not received any communication from anyone in the city at all. You go through and look at the ADA transition plan, it specifically states that there are timeframes that need to be met. And if those are not met, it isn't just a, oops, we forgot. It's a violation. I don't just sit over in the corner and go, I'm going to go to the meetings and pound them all the time about ADA issues. For the most part, the city has done an excellent job over the last 7 or 8 years. However, there are several items that still are not been complied to from a court order back in 2018. So with that, I would like to see some sort of action. I had given information per his request to Councilman Reedy. I gave all of you a copy of that report on the 26th of August. And the nice thing about this is when I turned in a complaint on the 13th, I want to say that Mr. Wilfoot contacted me the following day. I was very welcomed and surprised, and it was a good indication that we're headed in the right direction. But as of this date, the city's still a little bit behind on where you need to get up to. I don't know how I can drill this into you anymore. I don't like to use that term. However, these aren't just things that you can overlook and slide down. The one thing I've constantly tried to remind everyone here at the council meetings, because I don't believe in hiding anything, and that one of the two reasons that I bring this to your attention is to do exactly that. The other portion of it is the video makes it incredibly easy. I don't have to rely on my memory. You don't have to rely on your memory. The facts speak for themselves. I would highly suggest that the city take a real hard look at what is out there and what needs to be done. I would like to work with the city. However, a lot of heavy work on my end and pretty much not a whole lot on your end. So with that, I know you're not going to discuss it. It's not necessary, but I would imagine that things need to pop up a little bit faster than they're doing right now. And that time clock is running out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. I'm going to let staff
Just-
respond to that.
Very quickly, Mr. Foote is here in the audience. I've been involved in some of his communications with Mr. Chapman, and so his overarching, the city never contacts him is, I think, a gross overstatement. Will Foote has been in contact with him regarding this specific complaint, and in fact, as recently as today. And clearly from Mr. Chapman's communications here at the podium, he knows where to find Mr. Foote if he has questions or wishes to file a complaint, which he did today as well.
Thank you for that. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think every city will always have something to work on, right? It's never ever perfect, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we've done quite a bit of work on ADA. I feel like we're doing projects all the time. Would you like to respond to that, Sean, or?
Sure. You know, I think we've talked about this a bunch of times. As ADA evolves and new standards come out, we budget money and try to address those in the ways that we think are going to meet the most good for the most number of people in the areas that make the most sense. If resources were infinite, we'd infinitely complete all of them. You know, I've got a bunch of examples. Just one small example is, you know, $250,000 going towards primarily ADA upgrades at the Carnegie Library to make that a building that can be used again. So understand the perspective and even to some degree agree with it. But, you know, we execute the resources we have as much as we can and even go after grant funding to supplement those. And we'll keep doing that. So.
Thank you. All right, anybody else want to make a public comment? Not on the agenda. Anybody on Zoom? No? All right, we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to item 11, the consent agenda. Are there any questions or items that the council would like to pull? Okay, then I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay, item 12, we have two public hearings tonight. 12A, we are going to conduct a public hearing and adopt resolutions approving the tentative subdivision map for the proposed Parkwood project. Michaela, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Give me 1 second to get oriented. Good evening, council members and Mayor. Michaela Noble, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department. The project we have before you tonight is the Parkwood project. This presentation is a brief summary of the project. More detailed information can be found within the project staff report, which was provided tonight as part of the agenda. Tonight, we'll discuss the following items pertaining to the Parkwood project: requested entitlements, Planning Commission, project components, staff findings, environmental determination, and lastly, staff recommendations. The applicant, Gen California 28 LLC, is requesting to approve a small lot tentative subdivision map and to certify an addendum to the Village One specific plan environmental impact report. In September, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and recommended that City Council approve all entitlements related to the Parkwood project. The proposed project consists of approximately 21 acres within the Village 1 specific plan area. The project site is located within the southwestern portion of Village 1, immediately north of Oak Tree Lane and east of the future regional park site. The project site is outlined in red on the screen. Just for reference, other Village 1 projects that have been approved include Esplanade at Turkey Creek Estates, Auburn Ravine Estates, the Waterfront, Hidden Hills, Heartland at Hidden Hills, Stardust, and most recently, Level Ranch. And here we have the proposed small lot tentative subdivision map for the Parkwood project. The map features 122 residential lots, 2 park lots, and 4 landscape lots. All of the residential units would be designated as village medium-density residential. These lots would range in size from approximately 3,200 to 8,900 square feet, with an average lot size of 4,200 square feet. The project satisfies the city's minimum lot sizes and typical setback requirements for VMDR development. Lot B Park, which is in the northwestern portion of the site, will eventually become part of the adjacent future regional park. No improvements to this park lot are being proposed by this project. Any improvements would be done as part of the regional park development. A portion of Silverado Trail, which is planned to provide access to the future regional park, will be constructed to provide primary access to the Parkwood development. This will be an off-site improvement negotiated with the property owner of that parcel. Oak Tree Lane, which borders the southern boundary of the project site, will provide a secondary access point. And lastly, an additional access point would be provided in the northwestern portion of the project site, located here, connecting to future development to the east. An alternative is also included within this map that does not include that connection depending on the development to the east. In summary, the proposed project provides for 122 VMDR units. The project includes 4.2 acres of park. The applicant intends to transfer some unit density from this project site to a parcel known as Stardust 12 under the same ownership located in the eastern portion of the Village 1 specific plan area. The density transfer is not one of the project approvals tonight, and Parkwood's development is not contingent upon that density transfer. Even with the density transfer, the density of the Parkwood project as proposed is consistent with the density allowed under the VMDR designation. The city would consider approval of the density transfer as part of the Stardust 12 project. As illustrated by the table above, the acreage for each land use would vary slightly from the approved specific plan. There would be a reduction in acreage for VMDR and a corresponding increase in the amount of designated parkland. Staff analyzed the proposed entitlements requests and concluded that they are consistent with the goals, policy, and intent of the city's general plan, the Village 1 specific plan and general development plan, and the city's subdivision ordinance. City staff has prepared conditions of approval for the small lot tentative subdivision map to ensure orderly and timely implementation of the project. Standard and project-specific conditions have been applied. The conditions of approval also include all applicable mitigation measures that are included in the Village 1 specific plan EIR. All conditions will be subject to verification of compliance by city departments, and the applicant team has reviewed and approved the conditions of approval. As required by the California Environmental Quality Act, city staff and consultants reviewed the proposed project to see if the development would increase the severity of any impacts that were previously identified in the Certified Village 1 EIR or create any new impacts. Because the project would not increase the population of the specific plan beyond levels that were previously identified in the Village 1 EIR related to population growth, such as increased vehicle miles traveled, traffic noise, or vehicle emissions, these all essentially remain unchanged. The Parkwood parcel was assumed to be developed within the certified EIR, so impacts associated with ground disturbance would remain unchanged. Furthermore, the Parkwood project will need to implement all applicable EIR mitigation measures, which are included in the mitigation monitoring report. All of this is documented within the addendum that was prepared as part of the project and attached to the staff report. Because the project would not create any new significant impacts or make any impacts more severe, we concluded that the Village One EIR adequately addresses the impacts of the Parkwood project. Based on Planning Commission's recommendation of approval, Planning Commission recommends council adopt a resolution certifying the addendum to the 2012 Village One Specific Plan EIR and adopt a resolution approving the small lot tentative subdivision map for the Parkwood project. As of today, we haven't received any formal public comments for this project. And in the audience tonight, we have Adrian Graham, our environmental consultant, who helped assist on this project, as well as several members from the applicant team, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the council have any questions before I open the public hearing, or would you like to do that first? Okay.
Just one quick thing. I know it's not relevant to tonight's approval, but can you explain what a density transfer is?
Sure. So within this specific plan, there's actual language that allows for a density transfer of moving units from one area of the specific plan to another. We're not changing the unit count that was approved as part of the specific plan. It's actually a process that can be done administratively. However, there's certain conditions that have to be met. This project does not meet those conditions, mainly being density transfers can't involve a rezone, which is why we have to go through a whole separate process for the Stardust 12 project, which requires a rezone.
Okay.
So just moving units around, but still within the same plan area, still under that maximum unit count.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to give testimony on this item? Yep, Darla, come on up. Hi, good evening.
Hello, everyone. On this project for the park, I was wondering, could it be a school and a park? Because these kids that are going to be going, or the parents that are buying these houses, these kids are going to be bused to Sheridan. And they're not telling them when they're buying the house. So maybe we can work something out with the developer and making a school with the park, because then they can be used both ways. Thank you.
Thanks, Darla. I'm not sure about the school with the park, but we are actively working on that school issue as we speak. So, and we're very aware of the plan to ship students to Sheridan. So we're working on that with the developers. Thank you for that, though. Anybody else? Anybody online? No? Okay. Close public hearing, and we'll come back to the council questions.
I had a couple of conversations with John Jewett from the project team. I had quite a number of questions about it. They were all answered. I think the planning commission was at 9-0, so they did that. One of the things I was interested in is that the parks went from 2.8 acres up to 4.2. Normally you see it go the other way. So I was very pleased to do that. And apparently the reason was because of the economics of developing some of that area over here. So I'm sure everyone is going to appreciate that increase of 1.4 acres. That'll be very good. But all of my questions were answered.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
Do you happen to have the Village One specific plan that shows the community where the school site is for Village One and the adjacent park?
I do have, it's not that full land use plan, but it's actually the trail system, but it does have all the zoning designations on there. So this blue site right here, that is the site that is designated as the school site. It is not a part of this project. Obviously, we're located right here, but within this specific plan, there is an area designated for a school, and I'm not privy to the conversations with the school district, but they are happening.
And the site just to the east is a park too, right?
Yes, so this
school.
whole green side of the school, yes, excuse me, that is a park site.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good to know. Yeah,
Yep.
thanks. I did have a question about what you said, with the park lots for this project. Did you say that's going to be a regional park?
Yes, so let me go back a couple slides.
Because I was under the impression that Bella Breeze was the last regional park that is being built in Lincoln. Or is the last one we're building?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Because we're not building this one. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, so the Lot B Park is 2.7 acres. It's a small piece of a big pie. There's multiple projects and properties that kind of coalesce to join that regional park, mainly being the county to the west of this property site, which we have not yet acquired, which that is the Titan missile site.
Yep, okay. All right, does anybody have any questions for the applicant himself or themselves? No? Okay, well, if there's no other questions or comments, then we can take a motion on item 12A.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, our second public hearing tonight, item 12B, we're going to receive a presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have asked for public comment. Oh, no, we had a public hearing. Sorry. I already did that. That's why I just gave myself a heart attack. I'm like, I already did that. Okay. Receive a presentation and hold public hearing on the 2026-2030 consolidated plan. Ms. Racker.
Good evening, council. If you just give me a moment to
Yeah, no
pull up the
worries.
presentation, and then I'm going to introduce our consultant. So just a quick reminder that the city became an entitlement district about 2 years ago. And what that means is that we have an allotment of monies that is associated and appropriated to the city to be used for specific funds. But in order to utilize those funds, we have to complete what's called a consolidated plan. It has to be submitted and approved and reviewed by HUD. We have not had the ability to complete that plan before now, but we are going full bore and completing it at this point. And this is the first step in that process, which is a public hearing and introduction of the public participation plan. And with that, I wanted to introduce Frankie Lewington. I know I was going to use his name wrong, with Root Policy, the consultant on this project.
Okay, great. Welcome. Hi.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. As Ms. Racker said, my name is Frankie Lewington. I'm a senior associate with Root Policy Research. We're a housing research and community planning firm based in Denver, Colorado.
Could you do me one favor and just, pull the
Yep.
mic up? There you
Is that
go.
better?
Thank you. That way
Okay.
people at home can hear you. Yeah.
Great. So as mentioned, I'm going to be providing an overview of the consolidated plan, talking about the citizen participation plan, and then opening the floor up for comments on the plan. Here are just some contact information. If there are questions about the plan process or HUD regulations, feel free to contact hello@rootpolicy.com, and that will go to me. If there are comments about the actual plan content or information that the public would like to provide, we've created an email address, publiccomments@lincolnca.gov, to collect those. We welcome questions and comments throughout the development of the plan, which will run through the spring of 2026. This is just kind of a standard slide we have for the public hearing. Really just the point of this is if you have very detailed comments, please just reach out to one of those email addresses. So as mentioned, the City of Lincoln recently became an entitlement jurisdiction, which means the city is eligible to receive the direct allocation of federal funding from HUD. As a condition of requiring that funding, this consolidated plan must be put together. So we use a combination of data from the census, HUD data, local data, as well as community engagement to help inform the development of the plan. Primarily, we are looking at housing needs of low and moderate income populations in the city, community development concerns, meaning public facility improvement, public infrastructure improvements, public services, and then also understanding if there are gaps in supportive services to support low to moderate income populations. These are the components of the consolidated plan. So first, there's a housing needs assessment. This section of the plan identifies if certain populations are experiencing disproportionate housing needs. Housing problems as defined by HUD include cost burden, meaning a household is spending more than 30% of their income on housing. Severe cost burden is more than half of that. We also look at conditions of units, as well as if units are lacking kitchen or plumbing facilities. Also part of that housing needs assessment is looking at what HUD defines as special needs populations. This includes older residents, so those residents that are older than 62, residents living with disabilities, survivors of domestic violence. So there's specific populations that we have to include housing needs for. The housing market analysis is the next section, and this is just a summary of the community's housing market. What are the number, type, condition of units that are currently available? And then also understanding what what barriers to development exist in the city of Lincoln. And then the strategic plan is essentially a summary of the market analysis and the needs assessment. The strategic plan identifies the priority needs, and then this helps inform the goals as well as the funding allocation priorities. And then the action plan is what the city will complete every year, and that just really details how the city will spend those funds that it receives from HUD every year. A little bit more about the community engagement process. So another HUD requirement is consulting with a specific set of stakeholders. So HUD outlines specific categories, for example, local public housing authorities, organizations providing housing services, organizations providing services to older adults. So we need to meet with stakeholders to touch all of those categories. We are also having an in-person open house tomorrow as another opportunity to learn about the consolidated plan process and have the community provide input on the plan. So that will take place tomorrow, October 29th, at the Lincoln Public Library in the Willow Room. Drop in any time between 3 and 7. You do not need to be there for the entire 4 hours. We'll get enough information. You can drop by for 10 minutes and provide your information there. And then again, as Ms. Recker intimated, there are 2 public hearings that are required by HUD. One during the development of the plan, which is what this public hearing is serving as tonight. Another during the 30-day comment period in the spring of 2026. That public hearing will have the entire draft consolidated plan available for review and comment for 30 days, which will help us finalize it before submitting to HUD on May 15th of 2026. So what funding is the city actually receiving? A Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. The main objectives of the CDBG program are to provide decent housing, provide for suitable living opportunities, and then also expanding economic opportunity in the community. The city anticipates receiving approximately $240,000 for the upcoming program year, and an exact allocation amount will be confirmed in the spring of 2026. What can the money be used for? So this is not an exhaustive list of eligible activities, but more just to illustrate what it can be spent on. Acquisition of real property, relocation and demolition. So if there was a property that was identified by the city with tenants still living in there, you could use the funds to help relocate them to another property and then demolish the building. Rehabilitation of residential and non-residential structures. Construction of public facilities and public improvements, activities relating to energy conservation and other renewable energy activities, public services, and then economic development and job creation activities. Another requirement of HUD's consolidated plan is putting together a citizen participation plan. And this essentially outlines how the jurisdiction will engage the community through the development and review of the consolidated plan. Which includes how the jurisdiction will encourage participation, who the jurisdiction will engage with, how input is reflected in the plan, and then information on public hearings, comment periods, how to access records and data used to help inform the plan, as well as noticing requirements. So that plan is currently available for review on the city's website at that URL on the second line. Alternatively, you can just type in CDBG, City of Lincoln, California, and it will pop up. And we are requesting that people review the plan and provide any comments by Friday, November 14th at 5 p.m. You can send those to that email address, publiccomments@lincolnca.gov, or written comments can be sent to the city manager's office. So these are really just prompts to help participants during the public hearing. So if anyone has reviewed the citizen participation plan, Now would be a great time to share that input. And also, we're just really trying to understand the housing needs in the community, as well as community development and economic development concerns. And then finally, what outcomes would you like to see prioritized as a result of this plan? So no need to answer all of these questions, but really just prompts to help people engage. So before we jump to the public hearing, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We'll open the public hearing. Does anybody have any testimony on this? Actually, we do have a couple cards. Virgil Nelson.
Good evening, council members. I'm Reverend Virgil Nelson, chairperson of Placer People of Faith's Affordable Housing Task Force. The need for affordable housing in Placer County and each of our cities, including Lincoln, continues to be critical. In the current RHNA cycle, Lincoln needs to construct 2,398 homes for low and very low income families, not counting even moderate income families. In the consolidated plan, I encourage you to adopt strong inclusionary housing ordinances with provisions for any project over 10 units. I encourage you to adopt realistic in lieu fees that will actually result in new construction. I hope that you will use the over 100 acres of L1 zoned and adjacent land to downtown to allow transitional and supportive housing types without discretionary review in all zones that allow multifamily housing or mixed-use development, including non-residential zones. With respect to transitional housing, Lincoln has created a model that we at Placer People of Faith together hold up to other cities by allowing a church to install 2 travel trailers on its property for transitional housing. What if 5 other churches in Lincoln each had 5 trailers? That would be 25 more units at minimal cost to the city. The mayor has good rapport with the city's pastors and could help facilitate this process. The salt mine could be funded to provide the social work support to screen and supervise the families. Church property could also be used for permanent housing. Reliable Home Solutions in Sacramento has self-contained units which cost only $85,000 each. You could rezone city-owned land to RD20 so it can work for affordable housing. You could provide a 35% density bonus when 20% of a project's units are for low income, or when 10% of the units are for very low income. You could consider mixed-use income zoning with some density increases from 20 dwellings per acre to 30 per acre. We are pleased to see that the city is moving ahead with efforts to encourage the actual construction of affordable housing and hope that these efforts will be successful. Everyone deserves a simple, decent place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Luisa Arquila? Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is Louise Arquilla. I am the Chief Program Officer at Stand Up Placer, which is the county's main domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking services provider. First, I want to congratulate you on attaining entitlement jurisdiction status. I know that's been a long time coming here, and I'm really happy to see the strides that you're making and the interest that you're taking in the community. I'm here as an advocate to ask that you would consider in your public services component supporting survivors of domestic violence here in Lincoln. Statistically speaking, every single year, 1% of the population in this country is abused by domestic violence. So it's not hard to do the math. Not all of them will seek help from anyone, but unaddressed domestic violence means that children are 15 times more likely to be abused themselves. 60% of all mass shootings and many law enforcement involved shootings and injuries are caused with domestic violence, either when a suspect barricades or decides to start taking people out. It's of primary importance to us that we make sure that the residents of Lincoln who are experiencing domestic violence, sexual assault, and sex trafficking are able to get help. And we're asking that you consider the support of those services for that special population as per HUD's request. And thank you very much for your time today and your attention in putting this plan together.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Sir, anybody else? Chapman?
Once again, Byron Chapman, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff. I know that a tremendous amount of cities, they tackle this project or it comes their way. It's just one of those that happen. Is there anything in the process that will help? And I'm not saying that this is something that happens every single time, but I have heard when we get to talking about low-income housing, that sort of thing, people are like, absolutely, we do need that, and we do. The issue is almost like sometimes when you talk about taxes. Yes, we definitely need to raise taxes to pay for this, as long as you don't tax me. So what I'm getting to is, hopefully there's not a roadblock as to where these properties or these buildings will go. I just heard and seen so many of these projects when you're trying to do that from a large project that's going on. We talk about the low-income housing and that sort of thing, and inevitably we come up short somehow. I don't know if it's just the nature of the beast, but it does. So I'm just wondering if that barrier does come up, if there's a way in which we can handle that before it prevents something else from going on where it needs to go. Thank you.
Mr. Chapman? I did see a hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, Lena Lebowski, you are unmuted. Please provide your public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I just don't understand why each new development couldn't have a portion of low-income housing in their plan. You just approved a complex of new homes, 122 homes. I mean, if each new development just had a few, you would eventually get to the required number. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Appreciate that. All right, anybody else? Anybody else online? Hope? Okay, all right. We'll close the public hearing and we'll bring it back to the council for questions.
I've got a question. On one of the slides, you talked about $240,000. That's for 26, 27?
Correct.
fiscal year? Then how much money
Correct.
do we have? How much money, it'd be better if you added a zero to that, of course.
Absolutely.
But how much do we have in the pot right now?
Sorry, the entitlement dollars are not cumulative, so they don't roll from year to year. So the allocation that you receive annually needs to be spent within a period of time or returned or not drawn down, one of the three. So, but yeah, so we can't take the money and bank it for a future project. We can use it with other funds that are available from other sources, either grant or through other projects or et cetera, but it has to be used in that period of time.
Okay, and when does the clock start? July 1st?
Correct. So HUD is required to, once you submit the plan, HUD must either approve the plan, HUD has to approve the plan in 45 days. Or if they don't, then it just becomes live, if you will.
HUD is approving something in 45 days?
Yes,
Okay.
in theory. And I should mention too, just because there was a question about the allocation, up to 20% of your entitlement for the year can be spent on administrative costs. So with the $240,000, that would be $48,000 on admin. And then if the city does choose to spend money on public services, that is capped at 15% of the entitlement for the year.
Thank you.
Have questions?
No, I don't.
Could you go back to the slide that shows the examples of what that money could be used for? And I want to ask a question specific to Lincoln. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So I get all that. My question for our staff is, now, of course, I know you're going to do the community outreach and get their input, which is awesome. Can you give me an example, not that we would do it, but give me an example of how we would use these funds specific to Lincoln? Like what in our resources, our facilities, property that's available, buildings that we own, what would be an example of something that we might use this for specific to Lincoln?
So kind of off the top of my head, some like lower cost projects, but don't have a lot of flash and awe would be curbs and ramp for ADA compliance within certain areas that meet the low to moderate income. So the dollars have to be used within those areas where those economic factors exist within the city. So that kind of shrinks that geographical area down, but we could also do things like, so for example, the old firehouse next to the senior center could be rehabbed into an additional like community center or an expanded senior center or, something else, right? That would take a lot more money than that 240,000. But, as far as buildings that we own within the identified areas, that's a building we own, right? That's currently sitting unused.
What about the house on First Street with the very large backyard? Could we use that funds to grade and pave that and put more trailers there? Is that something that theoretically, potentially could be done?
To support the homeless program? Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
One of the other, so I came from a jurisdiction that had this, and it's really awesome because frequently with like affordable housing projects or projects to serve the unhoused, you'll get a proposal from some group that wants to do something, and they'll need a little extra oomph to get it done. And there's outside the general fund, and back in the redevelopment days, it was easy to do, but these days there really isn't anything like that set aside, and so this gives us a very real bucket of money every year where we can contribute. There was unfortunately, there was a really great project on O Street that was an affordable housing project that had legs to it, and they needed some contribution to make some of it happen, and we didn't have it. And so, hopefully that project will materialize, but this is that kind of money, perfect for that purpose, needs to be spent on this kind of thing, and you can kind of push an affordable project over the finish line if you have it.
Great, thank you. Okay, no other questions from, okay, all right, then,
I just have one more slide.
oh, I'm
Just-
sorry, go
No,
right
that's
ahead.
okay. Just
Yeah,
next
yeah,
steps.
go ahead.
So we're going to be conducting stakeholder engagement through February of 26. The plan will be developed through March 2026. The 30-day public comment period, as I mentioned, will take place, and the second public hearing will take place sometime in the spring of 2026. And then we will submit the consolidated plan and annual action plan to
Great.
HUD by May 15th.
Awesome.
So thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much, appreciate it. And we're just receiving that information, correct? Okay, great. All right, then we'll move on to item 13, general business. 13A is a workshop to discuss a potential Lincoln Community Awards program. Ms. Mollenkoff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this was an item of council-initiated business a few weeks ago. And since that time, I've had my deputy, Christy McKinney, kind of investigating all the different types and procedures of awarding awards that she was able to come up with. And as you can imagine, for as many cities as there are stars in the sky, there are different ways to structure your volunteer programs or your city employee recognition programs. And so after doing a lot of this research, you can see in our staff report, and we did kind of propose a basic rubric for this type of an award program. But after having some more conversations with staff and talking to Councilmember Pearl specifically about some of the things that he's already kind of put in the hopper with staff that are under works, I wanted to maybe redirect you toward what Sean and I think is probably the best way to move forward with this, that is simple, straightforward, and isn't an already bigger burden on our staff than they have in their daily work lives anyway. So for the Community Servant of the Year, the idea is that could be an individual or a nonprofit or a corporation that provided tremendous community service to the city of Lincoln. And what I didn't realize is that we already have in the works a sort of recognition, community service recognition wall that is being worked on. In theory, what we're trying to do is really figure out what that looks like, where it would be placed, if it's in a park, if it's at City Hall. And so that Community Servant Award will be coming back to you in a more fully baked product for you to then really kind of get into the weeds on as to what are the criteria for who receives that award and that type of thing. In discussing the Staff Person of the Year or First Responder, kind of the City Employee of the Year type of concept, Sean and I had a conversation and thought there's a couple of factors. First, our city staff is very humble and doesn't often appreciate getting a lot of praise and having to stand in front of public and come to council meetings and have their pictures taken. They do what they do because they're passionate about this city and don't do it for the recognition. But that doesn't mean it shouldn't be given. The other side to that is we wanted to make the nomination process somewhat confidential so that when the award is given, if somebody knew that they were nominated but then didn't get it, that there weren't any hard feelings surrounding that. So the concept that Sean and I have floated is we have pretty much an annual, we ask all the department heads to submit the name of an exemplary employee and why they think that they have established themselves as the employee of the year. And then Sean and I will confidentially review those applications and probably make a recommendation to the mayor, whoever's serving as mayor at that time. And then we'll develop, probably we're talking about a perpetual plaque or something to have in City Hall so that every year that winner is recognized, not only with a proclamation here at City Council, but also with their name perpetually memorialized in City Hall. So that is the recommendation that staff has at this time. We're of course here looking for direction and any other guidance that you would like to provide to us in developing this program.
Thank you for that. Okay, so I'll start because this is something that I've been talking about for many years. I love the wall idea. I think that's great. So with looking at your rubric here, you have first responder. Are we looking at just one from both departments or one police, one fire?
I think that's up to council's direction. If we were going to initially just say employee of the year because that covers all of the departments, but if council wished to have a specific award for a first responder, and if you wanted us to break it out police versus fire, we could certainly do that as well.
So my vision for this was to do kind of a really special evening and have like, you know, dinner hors d'oeuvres or whatever that looks like within a budget, and have police officer of the year, firefighter of the year, and then staff person like public works or city, whatever the other departments. Not that other employees are less valuable than police and fire, but they do a different type of job, right? So first responder, police and fire, and then other staff, and we can break it up into whatever departments you want. And I agree with you on confidentiality. We don't want anybody to, you know, be upset about that. And then also the community servant, either person or nonprofit. I mean, and then they can all go on the wall or however we want to do that. But I think that it's high time that Lincoln actually, you know, had some kind of, whether they are humble or not, you know, we have a lot of really great employees, and I like to see them recognized in a special way once a year if we're able to do it. So that's my vision for it. I don't want to do just a proclamation in council. I mean, if that's what the council wants, that's fine, that's wonderful, but I would like to see us do some kind of nice evening for them if they want to. But I know I've heard it's hard to get them to show up and that sort of thing, but I don't know. I think it would be nice. Oh, that's my thought.
I agree. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's nice to appreciate hard work, and I think that builds a positive culture. And I also agree that having it broken up into the kind of different departments, just because it's not like apples to apples with what they do. What's excellent in one department is completely different than what's excellent in somebody saving somebody's life. You know, so I think it would be fair to break it up in different aspects, and I love that idea.
else?
Well, I'm appreciative of the idea. I really like it, just like that we're moving forward on the wall of recognition. I think the devil, in this case, the devil's in the details. As we do it, I think we have to bake it a little bit more. I can appreciate where some of I think it's great to give the recognition without a doubt. I think we have to think about putting the selectees up on a podium at a dinner, is the right thing from their standpoint. Is this really what they would want? Or I think every time they walk into City Hall, they'll see the name up there. That's fine. Recognition over here, that's fine. But I think we just have to think a little bit more about going a whole level of difference into like a special dinner. Who would we be inviting? The people who weren't selected, they're not going to come. So I think the idea is absolutely fabulous. I think the rubrics of how you go through it, I think are going to be fine. I think we just have to think a little bit more about how we want to see it end up at, in a final form. How would we do this? So what are your suggestions on coming up with an action plan?
Well, if there's some small cost associated with it, probably the easiest way is we'll flush out some of the details of the what, when, who, and where, and how much. And then we're doing budget adjustment here in, I don't know, 2 months. So we could just wrap that into that process and put the money aside. I assume that it would make most sense for us to start this in earnest. I guess you would evaluate the previous year, but start this in earnest in January of 26, and then we could flush that part out and budget a little bit of money for, the plaques and walls and things like that, so that it's all in place. That's no big deal.
I'm curious about the wall, though. I mean, I've heard about it, but we haven't had a conversation about it. So where's it going? I like it. I think it's wonderful. And make sure it's going to be beautiful, but where is it going? Where did the idea come from? We haven't talked about it at council, so I don't know. Is the city paying for it? Or I'm just curious of the details.
I think it's still under development. The idea came from one of our citizens who was in Rockland, and Rockland has one of these walls of recognition.
Okay.
I believe, Hope, you were heavily involved with that also in the administration of it. Where it would be held, where it would be placed. Rockland has it in a park. We could have many parks that we could select or place in Bierman Plaza. Might be another facility over there. So it's still baking, so to speak. So, yeah. But I think once it gets I think we're further along than we were before. It's just a matter of fine tuning it and then bringing it back to the council.
Gotcha. Well, I love that idea. I think it would be beautiful. But I don't think it has to be one or the other.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely
And
not.
to your point about people who don't get the awards aren't going to come, I mean, like, they won't know until, I don't know. I think friends in the department and having everybody celebrated. I don't think it's not just the dinner for those specific people. It's for everybody in the city, whoever can come to be celebrated. And then we recognize certain ones each year. I don't know. I think we haven't never done it. And I think that Lincoln's big enough now that we need to pay attention to that. So, but anyway, we can keep hashing it out and decide how we want it to look. Yeah.
And if I could get just a little bit of clarification. So we talked about having a separate award for police and for fire, and then is it each city department gets an awardee, or is it the other city departments
I
kind
don't
of as
know,
a
because
collective?
That's the sticky point, right? Because like Public Works is the department that comes to mind first because
They're huge.
They're huge and they do a lot of great work. And so we definitely want to recognize that. But then, do we separate them out like we do police and fire and then put everybody else in the same bucket? Or do we do because finance is a really small department, right? I don't know how that works. So that's something we would have to talk through.
That might be, we could call it the city manager's department.
Yeah,
Those departments that sort of fall under.
right.
Yeah, just the one employee that is in that department. Yeah, so it'd be easy to choose.
Maybe,
Yeah.
He wins every year.
Yeah.
Employee count's probably going to come into play to try to get it sort of semi-equal.
Yeah, I mean, look, so this is complex, right? Because you want to keep it fair and also find a way to acknowledge people with a variety of different roles. So we'll sort that out. And we'll make sure, as we've talked about it for a long time, it's always one of those things we want to get to. And so glad you brought it up because it sort of forces us to get to it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess we just keep talking about it, right? We'll just keep fleshing
We'll
it
get
out.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Pat's been quiet all evening and he
I
just
have
can't
been
help
biting my
himself.
tongue.
Somewhere
So-
sometime.
And
Since
one
we
of the
referenced
things that
Public
you
Works.
mentioned, and we're really blessed in Public Works, but it makes me squirm when we're like, we're gonna select one person because we are all blessed with such
Yeah.
an awesome team. I'm like, how would I pick just one? Who am I gonna pick? Like, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Because we have some stars and I don't know. So I'd have to think about that one, but it'd be really tough for me to pick one person. Really tough.
Well, I mean, and the flip side is if everybody agrees that it's just not necessary or it's too much or too hard to pick or whatever, like, it's not something we have to do. It's just something that I've been thinking about for a long time that I think that we should elevate ourselves to, but, you know.
No, I think it's a valuable thing because, like, look, you're not winning the Academy Award.
Right,
You know, it's
right,
not it's
right.
there's no
The
cash
Lifetime
prize,
Achievement Award.
right? Like, it's a way to be acknowledged, and I would hope that most people that work in any organization, like, you don't win the Employee of the Year. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're not an Employee of the Year. It just means you didn't win that year, and there will be many more years. And so, and most of our people here, I'm assuming, would be stoked if their person they work with every day got it, and it's a nice thing to put on to your resume or to bring up if you are competing for promotion or things like that. So we'll figure out some way to make it inclusive of
Okay.
all the departments.
Like, I think it's institutionalized, though. I mean, we're recognizing people as part of the institution.
No, I get that. Appreciate that. Okay, I know it's just a workshop, but I will open it for public comment if anyone wants to make a comment on this item. No, anybody online? Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys for that. Thanks for the work behind it, and we'll just keep talking about it. All right, item 13B, adopt a resolution approving the issuance of the City of Lincoln Community Facilities District number 2019-1 Independence at Lincoln Special Tax Bond Series 2025. Nita.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm going to stay seated for this one and just briefly introduce and then hand over to our bond counsel, Brian Forbath, who's online. But we are bringing for you tonight a resolution to approve the issuance of bonds in connection with CFD 2019-1 Independence at Lincoln. And this is the second issuance of bonds for this particular CFD. And Brian, if you're online.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And apologies, Madam Mayor and members of council for not being there in person tonight, but thank you for the opportunity to zoom in. Much
Yeah, not a
appreciated. So the action you have before you tonight, as Nita mentioned, is the approval of the issuance of bonds in a not to exceed amount of $11 million on behalf of the Independence Project. This CFD was formed back by the city in 2019. It authorized at that time a not to exceed amount of $30 million in bond authorization. As Nita mentioned, back in 2022, there was an initial series of bonds that was issued for $12,980,000 that went to reimburse the master developer, Lewis Communities, for infrastructure that they placed into service in order to serve the community. The CFD consists of 591 single-family homes. It's a significant amount of development has gone on out there. Lewis Communities entered into contracts to sell all 591 lots to 3 different merchant builders. Richmond American Homes was the builder of 195 homes. All of those homes have been built and sold and closed to individual homeowners as of this date. Additionally, they entered into a contract with TriPoint to sell 123 homes. All of those homes have been built, sold, and closed to individual homeowners as of this time. The developer also entered into a contract with D.R. Horton, who for 274 homes. Those homes are actively being developed right now. Currently, D.R. Horton has sold and closed about 90 of those homes, and they have about 45 of them under construction, with another about 139, 140 that are in a finished lot state. The plan tonight, the plan should the council decide to move forward would be to issue bonds in an amount in about $10 million to continue reimbursing Lewis Homes for the public infrastructure it put into the ground out there. The action before you tonight would approve the issuance of the bonds. It would approve certain financing documents necessary in connection with that, including a bond indenture, which is essentially the contract between the Community Facilities District and investors that sets forth the terms of the bonds. It approve a bond purchase agreement, which is the contract between the city, the district and Piper Sandler, which is the city's bond underwriter to purchase those bonds and sell them to the public. And then it would also approve a form of a continuing disclosure certificate. And then the preliminary offering statement for the bonds, which is in your packet, which is essentially the offering memorandum or the prospectus pursuant to which Piper Sandler will offer those bonds to the public on behalf of the CFD. And with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you all may have. I think members of, I'm not sure if Phil Rodriguez is there from Lewis Homes, but he was talking about coming, and also Dennis McGuire, maybe from Piper Sandler, might be in the audience as well. So more than happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the council?
No.
Any comment from the audience, or you guys, either one of you want to share? Are you okay? Okay, all right. Any other public comment, either online or in the audience? No? Okay. Well, if there's no questions or concerns or comments, I mean, we've already kind of worked through this. We did workshops. We talked about it a lot. Finalized everything. So I feel pretty comfortable that we're just finishing up here, right? Okay, well then I'll take a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Pearl?
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund?
Yes.
Councilmember Reedy?
Yes.
Mayor Andriata?
Yes. Great. Thank you very much for zooming in and walking us through that.
No problem. My pleasure. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. All right. City manager's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a few items tonight. First off, just a kind of cleaning house item. So everybody knows, we are going into a period of the year that's a little bit more sparse in terms of public meetings. We'll have one council meeting in November and one in December. The others fall in and around periods of time of holiday. Usually those two meetings are a little heavier because we're trying to pack in as much as we can before the end of the year. So just heads up on that. I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder, but just as a plug, Thursday morning at 9 a.m., State of the City is at the Civic Auditorium. If you have not RSVP'd, we are getting awfully full, if not completely full. I got a question from a staff person today about whether, folks that are able to attend can still attend. And what I'm just telling people is, sure, we'll make room, create standing room. But please come. We put a lot of work into it. There's going to be a lot of highlighting from the mayor about what's been accomplished this year, what we're looking forward to next year, some challenges that we're working on, et cetera. The third thing is that really cool. So Chief Alves is next week going to be participating in something called the Fireworks Task Force meeting. So he's been asked to help this state shape some fireworks legislation and enforcement to try to hopefully address what CAL FIRE and then local police departments and fire departments see as sort of this increasingly bad illegal firework problem. Every year somebody dies, every year somebody blows their hand off, and every year it gets worse. And we've tried here and in other places every manner of enforcement that you can think of. Criminal penalties, stiff financial penalties. And what we've learned year to year is that they don't seem to work. So it's a structural problem in what we can actually do from police perspective to enforce that. So hopefully Matt is in a particular position where he's dealt with this for so long, and I'm sure he'll have opinions about how they can tighten that up a little bit. And then if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'd like to read something that we put out today. It's been a very difficult couple weeks here at the City of Lincoln, and if you've been following the news, you are aware that we have a situation with a police officer that has been devastating to the department and the community. And so I'm going to read this. I'm not going to comment further. This was put out just this afternoon, and I'll leave it at that. A Lincoln police officer was arraigned today in Sacramento County Superior Court. Timothy Jankel was originally arrested on October 16th, 2025 in Lincoln by members of Sacramento County Sheriff's Department following an investigation of allegations that he sexually abused 4 family members who were minor at the time of occurrence. Today, at the arraignment hearing, his bail was increased and he was rebooked on the charges. Sacramento County Sheriff's Department and Sacramento County District Attorney's Office remain the lead agencies in this pending investigation. The City of Lincoln is cooperating fully. Mr. Jekyll has been temporarily decertified by California Post, the state agency responsible for police officer training and certification in California. He is on unpaid administrative leave while the city works through the processes and procedures set forth under state law. If you or someone you know has been the victim of a crime involving Mr. Jekyll, please contact the Lincoln Police Department at 916-645-4040. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Okay. Council initiated business. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to, I think you got an email too. We both did, about the situation with the food trucks and the unlicensed food truck situation, or not food trucks, food vendors.
It's not the food trucks, it's the
Not the food
pop-up
trucks.
tents that
Yeah.
are selling tamales and things.
The organized.
On the weekends.
Yeah, but it appears to be like an organized initiative, which is, obviously a problem with health, food and safety, and it's only happening on the weekends now, it seems like in our area, because that's when our code enforcement officers aren't patrolling. And then also I know that there's an underground potentially, trafficking situation. And so there's that element of it, but it's just not safe. And so I've had several residents reach out to me asking for support or direction or mitigation efforts to do something. And so anyway, I wanted to open that up for everybody.
Yeah, so Councilmember Eklund and I discussed this just the other day, and one of the things we're working on is, interestingly, I was driving through a bunch of cities and the county a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that in a number of places, this exact same model seems to exist. I must have counted half a dozen of them or more. We're reaching out to county environmental health, who really need to be the lead on food-related items like this. I can tell you that every time that we try to get a food truck or do a food truck event, there's a whole litany of paperwork and approvals needed that you need to get to be able to have those vendors, all of whom, many of whom come from restaurants, to set up and sell their food. And so, setting aside all the other issues, there's just a straight up public health thing here. And so our hope is that environmental health will get out and partner with us and do some enforcement to try to address that.
We do have in place a mobile and stationary vendor ordinance regarding places that they're allowed to be, provided that they have the health certificates, are appropriately permitted. But we have to date had no one apply for that. So that's another mechanism that we can work with county health.
Thank you.
Well, just, there should be a way we can handle this. I mean, it's not like they're hiding. I mean, they're out there. I can think of two, one on 12 Bridges and the other on Ferrari Ranch, that on Sundays I go past all the time. So,
There's one on East Avenue
okay.
all the time on the weekends. Yeah.
So are we allowed to, Madam, what are we allowed to do with them if we come across them? I mean, not we, but I'm talking about a city staff member.
If it's a city staff member and they are on public property, if they are stationed up within the city's right of way, they are trespassing. And we can either issue them a no trespass order or in fact, one of our exclusion notices. One of the things I can talk right now, we are down code enforcement. I only have one code enforcement officer currently. But I can talk to her about the possibility of shifting some of her hours and maybe taking a Saturday on occasion, and we'll just make sure she gets treated extra special when she's back in the office. But she's, I'm sure, be willing to shift her time and go out and address that so that and mix it up so that it's not predictable as to when she's out there.
Well, and because we're down one, that's why I'm not harassing anybody about the yard sale signs on our green light posts on Lincoln Boulevard. It's so annoying and it's really bad and it's ruining our light posts, but we don't have enough code enforcement to deal with that every day. So, okay, thank you for that. All right, committee reports.
I don't have any committee reports, but Councilman Brown and I attended not a startup type seminar last week in downtown Sacramento. And the group there was both looking to raise funds and also to engage public servants. So there were about 100 people all together, probably split half between business people and the other half between, we were here, Sac County was there, Yuba County was there, a number of were there. And at this point, there were 3 companies that were highlighted. They were looking for, as I said, looking for funding. They were also looking to see what they can talk to the electeds about for partnering. So the 3 were, one was called Plana, and that was it's a hybrid vertical takeoff aircraft. We've got an airport, so I was talking with them pretty extensively. Another one's called Cara Power, and they build smart Tesla wall systems. So I'm on the Pioneer Community Energy. I'll be talking with them about it as a possibility. And the third one was Azimuth, and they're building a special use computer chip, advanced chip that only John would know about. So anyway, so that was good. That was very interesting, and we'll follow through certainly with the aviation opportunity.
Yeah, I just got back from San Diego on Friday. I was there half of the week with LAFCO, and at the Cal LAFCO conference, it was my first time going, and I learned a lot. I was going to put that all together. At my next LAFCO, we'll give a full report back to the commission on everything that we learned and can bring back to the commission to help us with best practices and connecting and learning from the other LAFCOs and other counties on how they navigated similar situations and complex issues that we're dealing with. But yeah, we learned a lot about the process of incorporations, where we've now received one for Tahoe, and how that process works and things that we can anticipate, and consolidations with fire districts. And that's really complex that we're working on at the Placer LAFCO. And I was elected as the Central Region Board of Director position. So that was cool. I'm excited to represent Placer and the whole Central Region for all 58 counties in California and at the legislative level, and see what I can bring back to Placer County as well. And yeah, it's a great privilege and learning experience that I'm looking forward to. And then the most exciting news is that Placer County LAFCO won a really prestigious award called the Mike Gotch Award for innovation and planning for the strategic plan that our executive officer, who just moved on to be the interim executive officer at the state Cal LAFCO board, actually put together and implemented. And again, that's the work plan, 2028 work plan, which is everything. It's a living, breathing document that we're using to organize all of the LAFCO work that has been backlogged and not addressed for decades. So it's a huge deal, and I won't bore everybody with all those details, but it's a big deal. And I think that's the big stuff. Yeah.
Placer rules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
We
sure.
did good there at Cal LAFCO. That's awesome. And congratulations on
Thank
being
you.
elected. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
Thank
Doing a great
you.
job on LAFCO. For information, not that it's as big a deal as what Whitney just announced, but I was installed as, or will be, I guess, no, I am, have been, I've taken the seat for the president of the Sac Valley Division for League of California Cities.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I started out as secretary, then I moved up to first vice president, and now I am president. So I don't, whatever, I don't even know what that means, but I get to.
No
well,
good
I
deed
just
goes
got-
Undersell it.
I just got
It's a big
to
deal.
appoint, yeah, I just got to appoint people to public policy committees. So from all different jurisdictions, and the Sac Valley Division is one of the biggest. It's a lot of cities, and it goes all the way up north and down to Sacramento. So it's one of the largest divisions. And so I just sent off appointments for public policy committees. And so that should be a fun year. So
Yes, there's a lot to do
yeah,
there.
it's, you know, Charles, our regional, he's the guy who works for Cal Cities, and he makes it easy, but it's a good experience. You get to learn a lot, meet new people, and hopefully effectuate some change. I know, but League of California Cities is hard. It's, you know, it's hard there, but and then a couple other things I wanted to just bring your attention to. Monday, November 3rd, there is a group that is hosting an event called Salute After Sunset at Buonarottie's for airmen and women at Beale. It's like a fundraiser for our servicemen. And so if you're interested, they have it online. We can get the information. You can go to that. And then also on Thursday, November 6th at Jessup, the plea awards are going to be the Placer County Law Enforcement Awards are being hosted. And I think Lincoln Police Department, this is our second year in charge, right? Yeah. So is it like a rotation where you do 2 years? And yeah, and they're happy when this year's over and they get to pass it off to somebody else. But anyway, I know you guys all got the invitation. It's a really great event where they get to recognize law enforcement and chaplains and all that from Placer County. So that's Thursday, November 6th at 6 at Jessup. So yeah. That was it. Anybody have any other information items?
I forgot one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am so sorry. I don't know that I've done this yet, but I forgot, and I think it should go back to council initiated business. I was thinking it's information items, but it's actually, I
Okay.
think, I've been getting a lot of emails from parents and even on social media, people have told me that they're hearing and upset that we as the city are damaging the school district, and that approving homes and building homes is causing the situation with the school impaction. And it's just, you know, why aren't we doing more? And I was wondering, you know, because, so I'm trying to educate, but the volume is a lot. And I thought maybe it would be most effective if there was some way that we could put together sort of a concise Q&A or information on the website or social media, just explaining the connection between building homes and the school's funding. And some former council member Nader even touched on, you know, the tax situation. I think there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstandings about school funding and home building. And one of the things that we figured out when we were working really hard and spent, I don't even know how many hours we spent on that, was a Village 7 agreement to make sure that the school was really extra supported. And we found out in that deep dive that that the school's funding, a lot of it, the majority of it comes from the home sales. And if that stopped, it would actually do more harm than good. And so I just want to clear up, you know, facts versus fiction. And I think, you know, the truth is the truth. And maybe we just need to do more than just the one-off conversations, because it's a lot. And it seems like it's just building, and I don't know why, but anyway, that's probably said too much.
Right, thank you for that. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
know we're working on that, right? Yeah, the messaging, right, good. Okay,
That would be great.
if there's nothing else, great. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned. Have a great evening.
Thank you.